A car shouldn't be a suicide note. But in 1984, Ferrari built exactly that. They took the 126C4, a machine designed for pure velocity, and turned it into a rolling bonfire of ambition and incompetence. It was supposed to be the championship-winning masterpiece. Instead, it became the reason Ferrari had to perform the most desperate surgery in the history of Formula One. Look at the numbers. The Tipo 031 1.5-liter V6 pushed upwards of 800 horsepower in qualifying trim. It was a monster trapped in a chassis that lacked the cooling, the downforce, and the structural integrity to handle its own ego. The car didn't just struggle, it suffered. Under the blistering heat of the mid-season, the engine bays turned into ovens. The side pod geometry was so fundamentally flawed that the car couldn't find mechanical grip to save its life. The drivers, Michel Alboreto and René Arnoux, were essentially strapped to a frantic, overboosted grenade. Every time they touched the throttle, the heat soak killed the turbos. Every time they turned into a corner, the aero balance shifted like a pendulum. The Moranello brass realized they weren't just losing races, they were losing the soul of the Scuderia. They made the impossible call. Mid-season, with the calendar unrelenting, they stopped everything. Ferrari initiated a total rebuild that effectively junked the current chassis architecture. They weren't just fixing a wing or tweaking a map. They were redesigning the plumbing, the cooling ducts, and the suspension geometry while the world watched them fail every single Sunday. It was an admission of defeat so loud it echoed through the pits of Monza. They had gambled on radical innovation and ignored the laws of thermodynamics. When you build a car that hates its own engine, you don't evolve it. You exhume it. The 126C4 rebuild wasn't just engineering, it was a frantic race against the humiliation of falling behind the McLaren juggernaut. They stripped the car bare. They re-engineered the cooling pathways and reinforced the monocoque just to keep the turbos from melting the rear suspension. They salvaged a few podiums, but the damage was done. The gamble failed. Ferrari learned the hardest lesson in racing: you can have the most powerful engine in the world, but if your car is fighting a war against itself, you've already lost before the lights go out. Sometimes, winning isn't about how much power you bring to the track. It's about how much common sense you didn't leave in the shop.